The Duke of Kent is 89 years old. He watched 6 decades of royal drama from the inside, kept quiet through all of it. The scandals, divorces, and wars within the family, he never took sides, until now. Because quietly, deliberately, and with full knowledge of what it would mean, he has done something that has rattled the palace. He chose Catherine, not Camilla, Catherine. And what he is leaving her, pieces soaked in Romanov history, in Princess Marina's bloodline, in bones of a monarchy that predates living memory, is only half of it. The other half is what this decision says out loud. Stop for a second. Before the drama and the jewels, before Camilla's name enters this conversation, you need to understand who this man actually is. Because the Duke of Kent is not some distant, forgotten royal. He is not a footnote, nor is he a ceremonial leftover propped up for state occasions.
I followed my mother in the same post, and my father before that, so
He is the last living first cousin of Queen Elizabeth II. Let that settle. Every other member of that inner circle is gone. The people who knew Elizabeth as a girl, who sat with her at private dinners, who called her by her childhood nickname, gone, all of them. He is the only one left. Prince Edward, Duke of Kent, was born on the 9th of October, 1935. His father was Prince George, Duke of Kent. His mother was the legendary Princess Marina of Greece and Denmark, a woman so elegant, fiercely stylish, that even today royal watchers speak her name with something close to reverence. He grew up inside the monarchy's most intimate circle, not on the edges, or watching from a distance, right at the center of it. He served in the British Army for over 2 decades. He represented the crown at more than 100 state occasions around the world. He stood at Wimbledon year after year as president of the All England Club, dignified, reliable, never loud or controversial. While other royals burned bright and collapsed in public, the Duke simply endured. That is not a small thing. Endurance inside that family is its own kind of power. And now, at 89 years old, with his wife Catherine barely weeks in the ground, he has made a decision that the palace did not see coming. But to understand the decision, you first need to understand what he is giving away. Princess Marina did not arrive in Britain empty-handed. When she married Prince George, Duke of Kent, in 1934, she brought with her a jewelry collection that was extraordinary by any measure. Her mother was Princess Nicholas of Greece and Denmark, born a Russian Grand Duchess, a direct descendant of Romanov royalty. And the pieces Marina inherited reflected exactly that lineage. These were not ordinary jewels. These were objects that survived revolution. Objects that crossed borders in the chaos of a collapsing empire, that passed through the hands of Grand Duchesses before landing in a young princess's jewelry box in London. One of the most breathtaking pieces was the diamond girandole earrings, 18th century, Romanov in origin. The kind of craftsmanship that does not exist anymore because the world that produced it no longer exists. Marina wore them to the state opening of Parliament in 1978, paired with her pearl-fringed tiara. Cameras caught them. People gasped. Then there was the Cambridge sapphire parure. This was not just any sapphire set. The parure had a bloodline of its own. It was made in the 19th century for Princess Augusta, Duchess of Cambridge. It passed to Grand Duchess Augusta of Mecklenburg-Strelitz, from her to Queen Mary, from Queen Mary to Princess Marina herself. 4 generations of royal women. One extraordinary collection of sapphires. By the time it reached the Duke and Duchess of Kent, parts of it had already been sold. Financial pressures within the junior royal households are nothing new. The Cambridge sapphire tiara went first. Eventually, more pieces followed. But not everything disappeared. Some pieces remained. Quietly, out of the headlines, tucked away in the kind of privacy that only the oldest generation of royals still knows how to maintain. And those remaining pieces carry the full weight of that history. Every stone, setting, and clasp. Each one is a chapter of something much larger than one family's story. On the 4th of September, 2025, Catherine, Duchess of Kent, died at Wren House on the grounds of Kensington Palace. She was 92 years old. She had been the Duke's wife for 64 years. 64 years. The funeral was held at Westminster Cathedral on the 16th of September. It was historic in its own quiet way. Catherine had converted to Catholicism in 1994. Her Her service became the first Catholic royal funeral a British monarch had attended since the Reformation. King Charles was there. William and Catherine were there. Queen Camilla was not. Buckingham Palace cited acute sinusitis. She was at Windsor, recovering. Note that detail. It matters more than it appears to, because in a room full of royals gathered to mourn one of their own, absence speaks. It always does inside that family. The Duke stood through the service with the quiet composure that has defined his entire public life. He buried his wife and accepted condolences from the King, from the Prince and Princess of Wales, from family members who had known Catherine for decades. And in the weeks that followed, something shifted. Something that had been building slowly, quietly, over years of watching and waiting, finally reached a point where the Duke was ready to act. Here is what most people missed entirely. When a senior royal of the Duke's age loses a spouse, the question of inheritance does not stay private for long. Jewelry, estates, heirlooms with deep historical roots. These things require decisions. Decisions that, inside a family like this one, are never purely personal. They are political. Every piece that moves from one set of hands to another sends a signal. The signal travels fast. It reaches the right people before any official announcement, and it tells those people exactly what the giver believes about the future. The Duke of Kent knows this better than almost anyone alive. He grew up watching it happen. He has seen jewels used as quiet weapons, as rewards, as statements of loyalty and statements of dismissal. He understands the language completely. So, when word began to move through the right circles that he had made his intentions clear, the reaction was not confusion. It was recognition, because the choice he made did not come from nowhere. It came from years of watching, years of forming an opinion about who in this family deserves to carry what forward. And that opinion, quietly, firmly, without fanfare, has a name attached to it. So, what exactly did he decide? And more importantly, why did he choose Catherine over the woman who currently wears the Queen Consort's crown? That answer begins at a funeral, and it begins with a pair of pearls that once belonged to Elizabeth herself. Pay attention to this moment, because everything that follows traces back to one afternoon, one cathedral, one woman walking through the door in black. She was wearing pearls that were not hers by birth, but felt like they were always meant for her. September 16th, 2025. Westminster Cathedral, London. The royals had gathered to bury Catherine, Duchess of Kent. It was a solemn occasion, heavy with history, heavy with the particular kind of grief that comes when someone who lived a long, full life finally steps out of it. Catherine walked in wearing Queen Elizabeth's own pearls. It was not a replica or an interpretation, the actual pearls. Pieces the late Queen had worn to some of the most significant moments of her reign. Pieces loaded with meaning in a way that only people who truly understand this family could fully appreciate. The Duke of Kent saw them immediately. He would have recognized them, of course he would. He spent decades in rooms with Elizabeth. He knew her jewels the way old friends know each other's habits, instantly, without effort. And in that moment, watching Catherine move through the cathedral, draped in his late cousin's pearls, something locked into place for him. This woman was not performing royalty. She was inhabiting it. Catherine had not simply walked into that cathedral from a normal Tuesday. She had walked in from the hardest 18 months of her life. In January 2024, she underwent abdominal surgery. The recovery was difficult, and the palace stayed unusually quiet about the details. Then, in March 2024, came the announcement that stopped the world mid-scroll. Catherine had been diagnosed with cancer. The treatment that followed was grueling: chemotherapy, careful, controlled public appearances, a family pulling tight around itself while the outside world speculated endlessly. She stepped back from nearly everything. For months, the woman who had become one of the most recognized faces of the modern monarchy was simply absent. And in that absence, questions grew about her timeline and her future, about what her role would look like when she finally returned. People who had never once questioned her position suddenly found reasons to question it. That is what prolonged absence does inside the palace ecosystem. It creates space, and space, in that world, gets filled very quickly by other agendas. But Catherine came back, not loudly, not with a dramatic announcement or a carefully staged comeback moment. She returned the way she has always operated, gradually, purposefully, with a quiet steadiness that, over time, says more than any speech ever could. by late 2024, she was at the Cenotaph for Remembrance Sunday, standing on that balcony, composed, present, wearing Elizabeth's pearls again. The Duke of Kent was on that same balcony. He watched her that day too. By the time Catherine's funeral came in September 2025, Catherine's return to royal life was no longer tentative. It was settled and real, and the way she carried herself through that period, through illness, recovery, and the relentless scrutiny of a world that never stopped watching. A deep impression had been made on the people who mattered most. The oldest generation noticed. They always do. There is a particular kind of respect that exists within the senior ranks of the British royal family. It is not given easily. It is not given to titles, marriages, or proximity to the throne. It is given to character, to consistency, to the ability to absorb pressure without fracturing publicly. Catherine has earned that respect in a way that very few people who married into this family ever have. Think about what she has endured. She came in as a commoner, no royal blood, no aristocratic training, just a middle-class girl from Berkshire who fell in love with a prince. And then she had to become something much larger than herself, while the entire world watched, criticized, and picked apart every single choice she made. She built herself into the role anyway. And then, just as she had fully grown into it, illness arrived and tried to take it from her. She did not let it. She stepped back because she had to. She returned because that is simply who she is. The Duke of Kent has watched royals his entire life. He has watched the ones who crumbled, the ones who ran, the ones who turned private pain into public spectacle and burned their own positions to the ground in the process. He has also watched the rare ones who held. Catherine held. That is not nothing to a man who spent 60 years watching this family from the inside. That is everything, and it explains something that might otherwise seem like a simple question of preference. This was never really about jewels. It was about the Duke making a clear-eyed assessment of who in this family represents what the monarchy is supposed to be, who carries the values he grew up understanding, who is actually built for the long game. His answer was Catherine. It has been Catherine for a while now. The jewels are simply the language he chose to say it out loud. The connection between Catherine and the older generation of royals is not incidental. It was constructed carefully over time through exactly the kind of sustained effort that most people never see, because it does not photograph well. State occasions, private dinners, remembrance services, charity functions. The quiet, unglamorous architecture of royal life that happens between the headline moments. Catherine has shown up for all of it, consistently, with genuine engagement rather than performed obligation. Figures like the Duke do not miss this. They have seen too many people come into this family and treat the ceremonial side as a burden to be managed. Catherine never treated it that way. She treated it as the point, that orientation, that genuine investment in what the monarchy actually is rather than what it can offer personally, is rarer inside the family than most people realize. And to someone like the Duke, who gave his own life to service, it reads as something deeply familiar. It reads as kinship, not blood kinship. Something quieter and in some ways more meaningful than that. A shared understanding of what the crown requires, what it demands, what it deserves from the people who carry it. Catherine understands that. And the Duke of Kent, watching her walk through that cathedral in September 2025, wearing Elizabeth's pearls, made his decision with the full clarity of a man who has spent a lifetime learning how to read people. He was not guessing, he was certain. But certainty and action are two different things. So, what pushed him from one to the other? The answer to that question has a name, and that name is Camilla. The Camilla question. Here is something the royal commentators rarely say out loud. Not every member of the British royal family is comfortable with Camilla wearing that crown. They smile at the banquets and stand beside her at the balcony. They follow protocol, the way they were raised to follow it. Publicly, everything looks smooth, coordinated, united. But behind the performance, in the private conversations that never reach the press, there are people inside that family who never fully reconciled themselves to what Camilla became. People who remember exactly how she got there. People who watched Diana's story unfold in real time and never forgot a single detail of it. The Duke of Kent is one of those people. He is not loud about it. He has never made a scene. That is not who he is. But quiet disapproval from a man of his generation and his position is not nothing. It accumulates and shapes decisions. and eventually it finds a way to express itself. In this case, it expressed itself through jewels. When Camilla became queen consort on the 8th of September 22, the access she gained went far beyond a title. She gained access to the full machinery of royal life: the residences, the staff, the wardrobe resources, and critically, the jewels. The vast, extraordinary collection of pieces that the crown holds and that the reigning queen consort is expected to wear at state occasions, banquets, and official engagements around the world. Elizabeth wore some of those pieces for decades, pieces the public had come to associate with a particular kind of steady, dignified, royal presence. Watching them move to Camilla was difficult for some people, not because the transfer was improper. By protocol, it was entirely correct. But protocol and feeling are two different things. And for the older generation of royals, feeling carries enormous weight. They grew up in a world where the objects around them were inseparable from the people who had owned them. A brooch was not just a brooch. It was the woman who wore it, the occasions she wore it to, the decades it spent in her jewelry box. To see those objects redistributed felt, to some, like a rewriting of memory. The Duke felt this more acutely than most. These were his family's pieces too, his world and history, and the woman now wearing them was someone a significant part of the old guard had never fully accepted as one of their own. To be fair, and fairness matters here, Camilla has worked hard since the coronation. She has taken on causes with visible commitment. She has shown up. She has handled the public role with more grace than many predicted when the marriage to Charles first became official. She has surprised people, even some of the people who expected the least from her. But working hard and being trusted are not the same thing. Trust inside the royal family is not built through performance. It is not built through good press, a well-received speech, or a charity initiative that photographs well. It is built through years of quiet, consistent, private behavior in rooms where no cameras exist and no headlines will be written. Camilla came into her current position carrying history that could not simply be set aside. The people who were closest to Diana never set it aside. They moved forward because they had to, because the king asked them to, and the institution required it. But moving forward is not the same as forgetting. And in the specific world of royal inheritance, where every decision about who gets what carries symbolic meaning, the old wounds have a way of surfacing. The Duke of Kent did not need to say anything negative about Camilla to make his point. He simply needed to make a different choice, to direct something precious and historic towards someone else, someone younger, someone whose position in the family's future is unambiguous. That choice alone said everything. Royal watchers have known for years that the question of jewelry inheritance inside the British monarchy is far more charged than it appears from the outside. When Elizabeth died, the redistribution of her personal jewelry collection became one of the most quietly contested conversations within the family. Who got what? Who expected what? Who felt overlooked? Who received pieces that others felt should have gone elsewhere? None of this played out in public. It never does. But it played out. Conversations happened, feelings were hurt. Decisions were made that not everyone agreed with. Camilla received access to pieces that some within the family felt were always meant to flow toward the next generation, toward Catherine specifically, toward the woman who would one day be queen, not queen consort, queen. That distinction matters enormously to people who think seriously about the monarchy's future. A queen consort holds her position because of her husband. Her access to the crown's resources is real, but it is conditional. It exists within the context of his reign. When that reign ends, the landscape shifts entirely. A future queen is something else. Her position is not borrowed. It is not contingent. It is structural and permanent. And the people who think generationally about the institution understand that preparing that future queen properly, surrounding her with the right symbols and the right history, is not a sentimental act. It is a strategic one. The Duke of Kent thinks generationally. He always has. It is the orientation of a man who has spent his entire life in service to something larger than himself. And when he looked at the current distribution of the monarchy's symbolic resources, he saw an imbalance. He decided to correct it. Word of the Duke's intentions did not stay contained for long. It never does inside a family where information moves through private channels with remarkable speed. The right people knew quickly, and the right people understood immediately what was being communicated. This was not a casual bequest from an elderly man tidying up his affairs. This was a deliberate, considered act by one of the last living members of Elizabeth's inner circle, a man whose opinion carries weight precisely because he has spent decades offering it to no one, a man whose silence has always been louder than most people's speeches. When someone like the Duke of Kent finally speaks through action, the family listens. The message was clear, unambiguous, almost surgical in its precision. Catherine is the future, not Camilla, not anyone currently positioned at the top of the official hierarchy. The future belongs to the woman who came back from cancer and walked into a cathedral wearing Elizabeth's pearls and looked like she had been born for exactly this. The Duke saw what others were too cautious to say. He saw a monarchy that needed its symbols aligned with its future. He saw a woman who had earned those symbols through suffering, steadiness, and years of quiet, unglamorous commitment to something bigger than herself. And he saw a growing pattern of those symbols being directed elsewhere, toward a woman whose claim on the family's deepest loyalties has always been complicated at best. So, he acted. He redirected history with the quiet authority of a man who understands that in the world of the British monarchy, what you leave behind is never just about property. It is about what you believe, and about who you trust to carry the weight of it forward. It is about making sure that trust is recorded somewhere permanent, somewhere that cannot be argued with, somewhere that will outlast the politics of the present moment and speak clearly to every generation that comes after. The Duke of Kent made his statement. Now the question is what it actually changes. One old man, one collection of jewels, one decision made quietly without press releases, public announcements, or carefully managed palace statements. And yet, here we are, talking about it. Because the ripples from that decision have not stayed contained. They have moved outward through the family, the institution, and the conversations that shape what the monarchy actually is underneath the pageantry. That is the thing about symbolic acts inside the British royal family. They are never just symbolic. They carry real weight and shift real dynamics. They tell real stories about where power is moving and who the people closest to the crown actually believe in. The Duke of Kent's decision tells one of those stories, and it is worth watching carefully. Let us be precise about what is actually being transferred here. Not just objects or old jewelry in velvet boxes. Catherine is receiving something that money cannot manufacture and time cannot replicate. She is receiving legitimacy from within. The pieces themselves are extraordinary. Princess Marina's Romanov linked jewels carry a history that stretches back through Russian imperial courts, through revolution and exile, and through generations of women who wore them at the highest levels of European royalty. The diamond girandole earrings alone represent a lineage of craftsmanship and provenance that most museum curators would lose sleep over. When Catherine wears these pieces, she will not simply be wearing beautiful jewelry. She will be wearing a direct line of inheritance that connects her to, and the palace stayed unusually quiet about the details. Then, in March 2024, Princess Marina to Queen Mary to the deepest roots of what the Windsor family actually is. That connection is not decorative, it is constitutional in its own quiet way. It says, in the language that this family has spoken for centuries, that she belongs here, that she was chosen, that the people who knew this institution from its most intimate interior trusted her with its most precious symbols. No official appointment carries that meaning. No title confers it. It comes only from the people who have the authority to give it. And the Duke of Kent, as the last living first cousin of Queen Elizabeth, has more of that authority than almost anyone left breathing. His choice of Catherine is not a footnote, it is a declaration. Something has changed inside the dynamic between William's household and Buckingham Palace. It has been changing for a while, if you know where to look. William and Catherine have spent years building their own gravitational pull within the monarchy. They built their own staff and initiatives, their own public identity, distinct from the king's court, without being openly separate from it. They have been careful about this, deliberate, because the line between establishing your own presence and appearing to compete with the sitting monarch is a line that must never be crossed visibly. But the Duke's decision has added something new to that picture. It has added the weight of the old guard's endorsement, the blessing, quiet and unofficial, but unmistakable, of the generation that built the modern monarchy, and watched it survive everything the 20th century threw at it. That is not a small thing to arrive with when you are the future King and Queen of England. it changes the room. Not loudly, not in ways that will be announced or debated on morning television, but inside the institution, where the people who matter most are always reading the subtext beneath the official narrative, the message is received clearly. The Duke of Kent looked at the full landscape of the British monarchy in 2025. He looked at who was sitting at the top of it, and who was waiting in the wings. He made his assessment with the cold, clear eyes of a man who has spent 89 years watching how these stories end. And he put his chips on Catherine. It would be easy to reduce this story to royal gossip, to the Camilla angle, to the jewelry competition and the palace politics and the drama of who gets what when old royals die. But that reduction misses the deeper thing happening here. The Duke of Kent is at the end of a long life lived almost entirely in service. He gave his 20s and 30s to the British Army. He gave the decades that followed to representing the crown at hundreds of engagements around the world. He showed up year after year, quietly, without the fame of the senior working royals and without the scandal of the ones who burned out publicly. He simply served. And in doing so, he became something rare inside a family not known for producing it. He became trustworthy, genuinely, consistently, privately trustworthy. The kind of person whose opinion is sought precisely because it is never offered carelessly. When a man like that makes a decision, it does not come from impulse. It does not come from sentiment, temporary feeling, or the grief of losing a wife of 64 years softening his judgment. It comes from a lifetime of watching, a lifetime of forming quiet conclusions about people and institutions and what both of them are truly made of when the performance stops and the real character shows itself. His conclusion about Catherine is not new. It has been building for years. The jewels are simply the moment he chose to make it permanent, to carve it into the record in a way that cannot be revised or walked back or quietly reinterpreted by the people who might prefer a different story. He looked at the woman who came back from cancer and stood at the cenotaph in Elizabeth's pearls and carried herself like someone who had always understood the full cost of this life and chosen it anyway. And he decided that woman deserved to carry his family's history too. The British monarchy is in one of its most consequential transitional periods in living memory. King Charles is handling his own health challenges while simultaneously trying to modernize an institution that has survived precisely by resisting rapid change. William and Catherine are preparing for a future reign while supporting the current one. The balance is delicate, the pressure is constant, the scrutiny never stops. Into all of that, the Duke of Kent has dropped something significant. He has reminded everyone watching that the monarchy's future does not belong to the loudest voice in the room. It does not belong to the most recently crowned. It does not belong to whoever currently holds the most prominent position on the official order of service. It belongs to the people who have genuinely earned it, through character and commitment, through the kind of sustained, quiet, unglamorous dedication that the cameras rarely catch but that the people closest to the institution never miss. Catherine has earned it. The Duke said so, not with words, with history, with pieces of Romanov silver and ancient diamonds that have passed through the hands of empresses, grand duchesses, and queens, and have now, by the deliberate choice of one of the last great witnesses to the old monarchy, found their way to the woman who will one day wear the crown for real. One old man, one decision, one very loud message to everyone paying attention. The future has a face, and the people who truly know this family have known whose face it is for a very long time. This story is about more than jewels. It is about a man who spent a lifetime watching the British monarchy from the inside, choosing in his final chapter to say clearly what he believes. He believes in Catherine. And in a family where trust is the rarest currency of all, that belief is worth more than any diamond in any velvet box.